a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I love how this is how like all the podcasts start too. Like seriously, like so people, they just like the people always go like, "How do you start them?" I'm like, we just start talking, and then we go, "Oh shoot, we're in it."
We should probably press play.
Oh, we're already on play. Yeah, we're already. That's why my team hits play the second they leave because they know. And they're like, "Did you do an intro or anything?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "All right, we'll just start it wherever we think."
Right.
But like, I was like sleeping in floors 4 years ago.
Oh wow.
And living out of my trunk.
Yeah.
And I just like, and people are like, "How did you do it?" I was like, "I just hustled my way through here," and I just. 12, 14, 16-hour days, you know, sitting there building websites, trying to figure stuff out.
I'd say that's one of the things I missed. You know,
grind?
No, I think I've got like a baked in grind. Like I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur.
Oh yeah.
My great grandfather sold bicycles in Barbados. My family's from Barbados.
Yeah.
I mean, he made and sold bicycles in Barbados.
Okay.
Then my grandmother, she just decides she's like in the parish that they live, they didn't have like a grocery store or whatever. So my grandmother started a grocery store. My father started his own business. My uncle started his own business. So it's like it kind of came down to it. But for me, the thing that I missed was I've always had a corporate job. Like I went through business school.
Yeah.
I went to grad school, got an MBA, been working for
Great.
corporations.
I'm talking to another smart person. Ugh.
No.
Dang
man.
it.
No. I'm the first to admit that knowledge does not come because of the piece of paper.
Yeah,
for
sure.
But the piece that I missed is because I've always held these, positions and I've done very well in my career, that hustle, like, dog eat dog, I've never allowed myself to be put in that, in that position. But blessings that I've been able to kind of still build my company and do well, and even get into some philanthropy and some of those things at the same time. But I don't envy it, but a piece of me is like, man, I wonder what happens if it was like,
if all of a sudden tomorrow you had to like go do it. That's the one good thing too I will say about hey, welcome everyone, we're in a podcast now. So this is my boy Kevin. Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
I've been following you on for Insta for a while.
Oh, that's what's
right
up.
And I just respect anyone doing their own thing. Right.
Awesome.
And I see your brand, I see your style. I used to wear suits every day. Like the only reason I don't anymore, I'll be honest, all my suits were tailored. I put a little weight on, they don't fit anymore. So then I'm just trying to be comfortable now, right?
You're speaking truth now.
Truth, bro. And it's like depressing. I'm like, I don't want to have to go get those pants let out. Like, and then I have a Peloton. I'm like, I need to start. And I had chicken wings for lunch, so But I've been following you for a while, and then I was like, do you know what? We got things going on right now. Let me hit you up, and I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Yeah,
it means the world to me. It really does. Cool. I'm just some random guy with cameras and a mic. You don't even know if this is recording or not. There's actually not even batteries in these things, which is all fun time.
The one thing I love about Riverside is the connection and the community, right? And so the people you're connected to and that love you speak volumes of you. So the minute I knew like who you were connected to, then it was like, oh, I'm coming to see Adam.
Well, that's what's so funny. You see who's like following. You're like, okay, I know that.
I
dude.
know that. Yeah,
it's like cool. We're boys.
That's
right.
We're already cool.
And that's the funny thing, right? It's like it's like before this, I traveled all the United States, and people would always say like, why do you come back to Riverside? I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't.
I have a theory.
You know, what's that?
So I lived in Atlanta in the 90s and like in the 90s, and I was in Atlanta right before it blew up to what it is.
It's massive now.
It's amazing. And I saw what that city looked like before it became ATL Atlanta. While it was becoming. Riverside feels like that to me. Yes. Like I moved into downtown.
I'm downtown too.
Yeah, I live right here. Right on the back street, right on Market.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like I moved downtown. Yeah. I like just kind of like poured everything.
Yeah, I live on Market and 3rd.
Oh yeah, Mark. That's where I'm at.
You're in the apartments?
Yeah.
Homie.
Dude, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm
410.
No, I'm 305.
Oh. What?
No, dude. Yeah.
How? That's the funny thing about that building. No, that's the funny thing about that building.
Oh,
you never see anyone
at all.
No, is that your black Ferrari that's out there?
I know whose it is.
Oh, do you?
And he used to have what I have. I have a Tesla.
Okay.
And he used to have a Tesla, so we were always back and forth. So when I pulled in, I was like, dude, you got a
I thought Batman moved in.
Yeah,
I literally was like, is Batman here?
We're neighbors, by the way, me and the guy.
Oh, yeah? That's so funny, dude.
That building has way more people in it than
you never, because I used to be at 312. I used to be in the townhouse. Yeah, I used to be in the town, and then I bumped up.
Oh, nice,
dude.
I've been waiting for them to find. I want that one on the corner.
It's open.
Not third floor right side.
The
one on the
left side.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for it.
I like the townhouse. Now we're getting talking about townhouse.
Yeah, I know.
I like the townhouse. The only thing I didn't like about it was the AC unit. It was great upstairs, not good downstairs. And then my brother moved out, so I bumped to a 1-bedroom.
Yeah, see, mine is not.
No,
my AC, they had to come fix it.
Oh, see, I think mine was problem.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I might move into the Mark.
Oh yeah. So I actually, it's the same owner.
Yes.
So the same owner is actually, that's his name.
Yeah.
So we I'm thinking about moving.
I'm too.
Yeah,
dude, I'm telling you
at that time too.
Bro, we'll be room dogs.
I think 21 next year.
And it's supposed to be. So I talked to his son, and I was like, "Hey, listen, bro, you know what you need to do?" And he's like, "What?" I said, "Listen." I was like, I looked at the other lofts, whatever. You put a rooftop bar up in that joint, I'm in. And he goes, "We're working on it." I was like,
man.
And so he told me that they're gonna like go to like Salted Pig or whatever, and Salted Pig and these restaurants are gonna happy hour.
What you call it?
They're gonna happy hour up top,
dude.
Bro,
that's kind of sweet.
Gangsta.
That's kind of sweet.
But that's what I want in Riverside, bro.
No, look, I'm telling you, that's what you have in Riverside. I saw it. I saw this happen in Atlanta.
Yeah,
I saw it.
I think
this is it.
And the tech game's coming down too right now.
Oh, absolutely.
It's such a hidden gem that people just don't even.
It's here. Trust me.
And I think I'm really hoping, because of what I've noticed in my world is I grew up here, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like you were like super smart and you left, got a really big job and you went to Orange County or LA or the beach or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or you stayed here and you're like blue collar or whatever, you know, and you just stayed here. I think people are starting to.
Yeah.
Because LA and that stuff's getting way too expensive.
It's far too expensive. I think the last I checked was 4.3 or 4.4 million people in the Inland Empire.
Bro.
And this is people who are coming in from LA.
Yeah.
Who are just like, I'm gonna drive that ridiculous 2 hours.
I know.
You know, 2 hours to get to
here's
work.
Here's the thing. Like if you work in LA and you can't afford to live in LA, you can't tell me you can't find something closer. I never understood that. I never understood that.
There's got to be.
There has to be.
And Riverside's going to be. It's going to change it.
I hope so.
It's going to change it. I talked to some of the folks in the city, and they're working hard to get some of those corporations to come open up
for sure
here, because we've got the talent, and that's in economics, that's the play, right?
Well, you got the hospital.
Sure you got the workforce.
You got the hospital.
Absolutely.
That thing blew up, right?
Yeah.
Then UCR is dropping mad cash, and
that's
they're dropping cash at some downtown.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, man. There's some people. I will say this. I'm a member of Victoria Club, and there is some rich old people here.
Lots
of rich old people that you don't even know about. Like you look at, I was sitting at dinner one day and there someone's like, you know that person? I'm like, no. And he's like, that's the owner. That's the guy that owned the ranch. And I was like, he's like, yeah. He sold all of that up there. He goes, he owned everything up in Orange Crest and he sold it.
Wow.
Like, dude, balling out.
Oh, they're all over the place.
Dude, there's some old money in Riverside, dude.
Oh, so much.
So what made you go to Atlanta?
So I lived in Atlanta. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Family moved me and my siblings out of New York to Atlanta, and I grew up the rest of my life there in Atlanta. And so I mean, I loved it. Atlanta's a beautiful city, and then after that decided to move out here to Cali. So I work at Loma Linda. I'm one of the administrators up there at the hospital, and that's what brought me out to Cali.
Oh, okay.
Instantly fell in love. And it was one thing that they said.
Game,
it's one thing that they said that sold me. They said, they were like, you can go snowboarding in the morning and then end your day at the beach. And I was like, okay, yeah. I did it.
Yeah,
and I was just like, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
I said, that's
I don't give it. You know what's
here.
funny? I love people that are like, how do you live out there? Come live here.
Yeah.
Just test the water, right?
Absolutely.
Just put your big toe in it one time.
Locked in.
And you'll never leave. Like, so I worked in the minor leagues, so I would be gone all summer for 9 years, and I'd come back. And one of my best friends lived in Chicago, and I would bust his balls so hard, be like, hey, what are you doing today? He's like, shoveling snow. I said, yeah, I'm going to go to the beach.
It's the worst.
So, so as much as you say Chi-Town's the greatest city ever, I'm at the beach today.
I'm not going to front. I love Chicago as long as it's not the winter.
Bro, I went there last year, 2 years ago for his wedding. It was November, and it wasn't even cold yet, and I was dying.
I was there last year, and it's terrible.
Dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So But I do say, do you go back to Brooklyn a lot?
I don't. I think the last time I was back was maybe like 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
New York, dude.
A totally different place than when I grew up there.
Well, Brooklyn was Brooklyn's
rough.
was rough, and now it's like where the fancy kids go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was like an old train yard. Mm-hmm. There was an old train yard right there. Where the Barclay is. So where you see like the Barclay Stadium is. I used to be a train yard. Like a crackhead train yard.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
What money does to a neighborhood?
Oh, it changes a lot.
Bro, anyone can change. Any investors can change any neighborhood if they just put money into it.
For sure.
Look at Brooklyn. Sure. I mean, Brooklyn
is a prime example of that.
Brooklyn was the hood.
Right.
Like if you go back to, if you're young people, and I'm young too, but whenever you go back and watch stuff, like Brooklyn was like, you didn't go to Brooklyn.
Right.
And then now it's like now you watch like $1 Million Listing, and they're like, oh, look at my new $5 million property in Brooklyn.
And they're like, come on,
homie. You're like, dang, this is
come on.
But shoot, man, that's the same thing in LA sometimes too.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand the whole Santa Monica thing. Like it's like super dirty, but it's like the most expensive street in LA. So so you work in the hospital, you move out from Atlanta, and next thing you know, you're starting a clothing company.
Right.
What was that? What was like the company? What was like one day where you just like, I want to do this, or is it kind of?
No, not at all, man. Actually, the first business I ever started was like a gumball machine company in college. You know, and then I moved from that into like real estate. So I bought a couple properties while I was in college, rented out rooms and stuff like that. And then as a landlord.
You still have those properties?
I'm still trying to figure out now. As a landlord, I'm about to tell you the story. It's like as a landlord, you start to figure out, like you're growing into who you're becoming. Mm-hmm. You know, as a young entrepreneur in your mind, you're just like, well, I can see where the money's coming from, but your heart may not necessarily be in what you're doing. And I think I got to that place through a lot of different places, and I just realized my heart was absolutely not in getting that phone call. You know, I lived in Atlanta. I own property in Huntsville. I get that phone call and say, hey, washer and dryer's out. I gotta go Best Buy, buy a washer and dryer, drive down to Huntsville, and I was like, you know what, this is not for me. And then
the rent shows up on the 7th. You're like, thanks, homie.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Thanks, homie.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the rent being late.
And then I transitioned that business into an application that I developed called illegalads.com. It was like basically a legal notice transportation company. We're like posting, ads in different magazines and stuff like that. That's what I moved out here with, that business. And trying to kind of pull that together and do everything at the same time just ended up kind of sidelining that business as, they normally cycle through.
Yeah.
And then one day, I was just, obviously I've always been kind of fashion forward kind of guy, and just realized that some of the accessories that were out on the market were kind of like the accessories that like my pops would buy or like, I didn't really find anything for that modern professional.
That's only accessories like when you go to Nordstrom's, right? Nordstrom's I feel like hasn't changed since a child.
No.
Like it's the same gear.
Yeah. A prime example of that is Barney's.
Oh yeah.
And you see like people trying to save Barney's right now. I mean, it's just like it's struggling, but it's just old school accessories. So then I just decided, I'm going to try something. Did a project with a buddy of mine. Was like, let me do this. And in 45 days, we sold out of like our first run of the product. So I was like, you know what? Maybe we've got something here. Then decided to build a brand around that product, that project that we had worked on. So Carrington is basically professional accessories. We started in the tech vein, and now we're starting to roll out into some other things. So iPad cases, iPhone cases. We're doing some everyday accessories like the keychains that I brought over. Working on some laptop bags and laptop carries and stuff like that. And so been doing that for the past couple of years, and that's where I landed,
And then you're all online, right?
Yeah. Well,
are you in stores?
No, we are. So, we do have a couple stores that we sell in. Pocket Square Clothing in LA is one of the brick and mortars, but most of our stuff is wholesale to online marketplaces and stuff like that. Yeah. So
you said your family came from entrepreneurs. Like, for me, like I did not. Like my dad worked at Stater Brothers his whole life, so it's kind of weird to talk to him about like payroll, like you know what I mean, hiring and fire. My mom always says, I think I've gone through like 3 assistants. My mom's like, you just fire everyone. I'm like, Mom, they're just not good enough, right? Is that a problem?
That search is real.
It's a real grind.
Real.
or they're good, but they just like, we just don't vibe out, right? Like, you know, it's like, you're just like, this isn't like working the way I want to work. Yeah. So did you, when you were coming up, you know, obviously, was it a little bit easier for your family to kind of like agree, like kind of like understand the path of being an entrepreneur? Because for me, my parents don't get it. Yeah,
it was, so, you know, the way I grew up is I grew up in the household where my father was an entrepreneur and full-time. Like, all of these individuals in my lineage, like I'm like the only guy who was like, okay, I'm going to play it.
You're like, I'm going to go to college a little bit, dabble a little bit, do a little bit.
Exactly.
What's wrong with the salary, people, and health insurance? Nothing.
Nothing at all.
I'll take my 401k.
That's right.
That's the other thing too. I gotta get insurance. Damn it.
Oh, look, I'm glad. Anyway, that's kind of stuff that makes me happy.
You're like, suck ass.
Yeah. But then I see what you guys drive, so I'm like, okay, I understand. You make up for it.
Yeah.
But my mom was a school teacher.
Okay.
And she was one of those individuals that was like, her saying, this is her like go-to. She was like, why spend money on that which is not bread?
I like it.
That's her say. And then my dad is kind of entrepreneur. He's like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. He ended up building a shopping mall. You know, he ended up like, you know, he's did amazing things while he was here, you know, on this earth. But I grew up with that dichotomy, you know, of my mom being very conservative with, you know, spending, and my dad being kind of like this entrepreneur, visionary ideas. And so it was easy to have the ideas when I was talking to my dad and not easy when I was talking to my mom. But the one thing my mom saw was that she saw that I may not agree, I may not feel comfortable, but it all seems to work out in the end. So you must know what you're doing. So that support was always, was always there. So I appreciate that.
That's something I told my mom. Something happened and I was like, Mom, everything's working out all right for me. Until the world starts telling me I'm wrong,
that's right.
Then I'm gonna agree that I'm right. But it's hard. I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, you kind of have both, best of both worlds. Like, you work, you work in the hospital, you have that job, and then you're also doing that entrepreneurship. Yeah. You know, I think some people go into entrepreneur and don't realize everything about it, where it is the roller coaster, and you have to lie to yourself.
Absolutely.
When I first came in this game, I was the cocky, arrogant young gun.
Yeah.
No one's gonna tell me what to do, suited and booted every day. And then people are like, you know, why were you like that? I'm like, because I was basically lying to myself. I was trying to convince myself I could do this. Because there's probably moments like you where you're like doing this project, and then
I'm right there right now, believe it or not. I mean, I think honestly the big thing about entrepreneurship is learning to live in that discomfort.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's not like I got to clear the discomfort and become comfortable.
No.
It's like, no, you're in a constant state of discomfort, and learning how to make moves, keep moving forward, check your risks, really mitigate those risks to say, hey, you know, we're going to take a big swing here. Yeah. You know, let's make sure we've got things to kind of catch our back. Or, hey, we're going to go all in here, but it's living in that discomfort. And I'm telling you, man, I mean, look at the companies that are sprouting up all over the place. And maybe even look at don't look that far. Yeah. Maybe look at just your own wins. Oh, yeah. It's the moments when you're like most uncomfortable that you turn around and like, oh, we killed it.
Well, you know, I mean, it's just like this. It's like this room right here.
Yeah.
You know, this room right here, you know, I will say this. I don't know this 100% sure. This is the number I'm just trying to I might be the only podcast room in downtown Riverside. I have no idea.
That might be possible.
I know there's a radio station off of, I know there's a radio station, but that's not a podcast room.
Right.
And so for me, like, I tell everyone, like, you can use this space as much as you want. Come here, use it, don't care. And so, like, this only came about because of what's going on. Yeah. If that didn't happen, this would not have happened.
Man, wow.
And the thing is, that, you know, people ask me, they're like, why do you do this as an agent? And I always say, I'm like, it's a lot easier for me to be like, yo, let me help you talk about your business. Then be like, hey, you want to look at buy and sell houses? So who are you working with? Like, in your company right now, day in and day out, are you like the main guy, or do you have kind of a team where you're bouncing every ideas off of them?
So, you know, one of those things about, you know, still, so I'm an entrepreneur, period.
Yeah.
So even at the hospital, my job right now, I'm starting a new business within the hospital.
Got it.
And so that's pretty much what I get to do. But at Carrington, the way, you know, I've structured it is pretty much like we have a team of people, and when we need to work on those projects, we bring the team together, we work it, and then we, you know, kind of roll off.
So does everyone else have other jobs too?
And other businesses that they're creating and under things like that. So it for me, and where I am now helps keep overhead,
sure.
under control. But at the same time, I'm getting to work with folks who are just operating at a totally different level in their own projects.
Yeah, isn't that crazy too? When you meet those people, you're like, oh, okay,
yeah.
Like you're a genius.
Yeah,
and like you
clearly,
know what I mean?
right.
Clearly, you do like, and then they walk in the room and you're talking to them like, oh my God, you're super smart about this. Got it. Like, you know what I mean?
You know way more than I do.
You know, like, come on the team, buddy. So do you feel like, obviously, are you, you've been doing this for a few years with the company and you kind of have people, like you said, like, we're kind of doing our own thing. Like, so for you, how do you judge growth in the company then?
I mean, sales.
Did you just straight sales?
Retail. Yeah. Well, it's two things. So, like, when I started Carrington, the idea was just making the product, pushing it out. It was 100% sales is the barometer for whether this company is being successful or not.
Well, because you need the money to keep the doors open.
Right,
I think that's the one thing people...
You gotta make focus
money
on that. Yeah.
At the end of the day, money is the first thing.
We
do anything crazy, we gotta make money.
Like, I mean, in any other field, law, medicine, you name it, there's something else that is like the main thing, right? The patient, if you're in healthcare or if you're in law, I gotta make sure my client are winning this case. In business, like, money is the thing.
Money is the number one
is the thing.
Factor.
Right, exactly.
If that's people bringing in money
that's
or
right.
the company making money.
Absolutely. And so, like, that's what it was initially. And then, I'm a very kind of, spiritual, social good, social justice kind of person as well. So then it became the idea of what does the brand stand for? And so for me, I straddle that line often between, between the mission and the margin of the business. You know what I mean? And I'm afforded to make a little bit, make some judgments back and forth because of some of the, safety nets we built in and how we've managed our costs and expenses and things like that. But, at the end of the day, those are the two buckets that I really look at. So lately we've been focusing really hard on making sure the brand message is clear, just really talking to men, because we're a men's brand, but talking to men about character and becoming better. And we just launched the MrCarrington.com site, where, I'm just kind of putting some of my thoughts, down on paper. I started a group called the Gentleman's Brunch. We're bringing men together to kind of talk. And so you realize really quickly, and this is what you just talked about in real estate, which is the same for us, we've got to corral our own, customers as well, and pour into them in a different way so that they would pour the finances into the business to get it to grow. So,
and I think that's the thing that's interesting is, like, you have to, like, focus on your goal, but then you also have to focus on the client.
For sure.
Where it's it's like for us, like, we push out, we only live on social, right? So it's like, if I'm shooting a video, I have to start thinking, what video would you want to watch? Not what I want to watch.
For sure.
What do you want to watch?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think some people start like, cool, I like this. I think this looks really cool, but just everyone else thinks it looks really cool.
You know what? That in retail, and that's the space that, Carrington operates in. It's like we design a product, and then I have like a group of it's like our focus group, right? So it's just like, it's like a band of my buddies, basically. And there are a couple of folks in there. We blast out the product to them and say, hey, tear this apart, tell me how you feel about it, blah, blah. And that's that feedback that is just so valuable to us in our design process that lets us know, okay, this product is ready for the market and people are going to gravitate.
And then from, I know nothing about designing and stuff. So from like an idea to like on the website selling or in store, what's that time frame?
So, it usually takes us about 3 to 4 months to get a product from out of my phone or out of here to like there. Right. And so, I mean, if I were to map out that process for somebody who's like trying to, get into it, for me, our process is I start with just a sketch of an idea, just what kind of product am I looking to kind of create. I'll sketch it. Then I get it over to our product manager who will like draft it up. And then from there, we'll ask, kind of throw it to the front and say, hey, this is what concept we're thinking about. This is what it looks like. What do you think? And then we'll get online with our factories. And so we'll basically connect with the factories, say, hey, we put together a quality guide for all of our products, so they already know kind of like you won't find Velcro in Carrington.
I would hope not.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, we've already got the leathers in the countries where now that's obviously the grunt work that you have to go through.
Figuring out what it is,
figuring out the vendors you're gonna be, who's gonna get you the best price on leather, or are you gonna go with a canvas or whatever. So once you get all those things identified, then we pretty much just pick like, hey, I want to wrap this in a calf leather because I want it to be a little softer. We're gonna do these in our browns and our blacks or what have you, and then after we kind of get all of those things tightened up, factory sends us a sample. We take a look at the sample. I literally try to like Hulk rip it apart, like play around it. I'll put my phone in it or iPad in it, walk around with it for some time and see how people respond to it too. So I'm like just always like learning, And then from that, once we make our edits and tweaks, then we get a final cut. And then we basically go in and just say, all right, we'll run it into production. Production usually runs about 30 to 45 days. And then we've got
and then are you guys purchasing like a mass, like we're going to order 100 of these?
Yeah, we got MOQs. We have MOQs we have to meet. Yeah. So it's like at the end of the day, we have to hit our first round of MOQs. So what we try to do is like do a pre-order, kind of pre-order situation. See how the market goes with it, and then we kind of use those funds and those things to kind of determine whether we're going to make that full
hit that number.
Right.
So then obviously you've been doing this for years. How long do you think it took you to kind of get, because like, there's people
just now.
Like just now? 4 years? Yeah. Okay. That's what I always worry about. I'm like, I talk to my assistant all the time. Like, when is this gonna like get easier? Right. Like we've been doing this 4.5 years. Like when are we gonna like, she's like laughing over. She's like, oh, trust me. I'm saying, that's what I'm saying to me. I'm like, when does this get easier? And I still don't know that answer yet.
I don't think it gets. It doesn't get easier because you're always going to be pushing.
We're always pushing.
You're always pushing kind of to push things harder and faster and where it goes next. But I think you get a lot more comfortable with the decisions that you're making, and for
make
me,
them quicker.
That's it. That for me, like even in grad school, and when I did the MBA, that was like the big model that we followed through the whole process. Was here's your decision making model. Like you want to make a decision, here are the things to consider, blah blah blah. Well, in business, like you can take all that and throw it out the window, and you have to because the decision you make today that leads you to kind of this thing tomorrow, you can't follow that same path.
You go off gut a lot then?
Oh yeah.
Guts, everything.
All the time.
Isn't it so funny? You like think it's like you sit down with someone, you think it's gonna be some magic thing, like I just trust my gut, and you're like, okay, cool. I don't know how to do that, but that's all right. Let me borrow your gut for a little bit.
Just for a little bit. Yeah. And when I hear people say, go with your gut, and I go with mine. There is a feeling when you're just like, hey, I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing a good thing. So it's like if I can get those two feelings to come together and they're aligned, then I just go with it. And I know I'm not afraid to be wrong.
Exactly.
And I think for me, that's what makes the decision making a little easier. It's just that, nope, I'm doing a good thing. Nope, I'm doing a thing that feels good. And then, and then straight.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was trying to get on my assistant, because she would ask me questions, and I said, she's like, how do you make decisions so quickly? I said, if whatever we're doing is the best thing for the client and us, we do it. Yeah. And client comes first, and then we come second. Yeah. So if even it's the best thing for the client, but we can get sued, we can't do that. But if it's the best for both of us, then we do it. And I said, and then I go, and then when you come to you, right, for you, if you need to make a decision for me, is it the best thing for Adam? Yes? Okay. Then you don't even have to consult with me. I trust your gut.
Make it happen.
And that's the thing, too. So for you, like, do you ever feel like, because I know, like, going back to a funny story, and I called him out the other day, Justin, for not being on my podcast yet. So he's like, I'm so busy. I'm like, I don't care, man. Make time. But anyways, so you know how you said you started that job in the pinball gumball in high school. Justin, kind of funny how you guys are like, entrepreneur. Justin used to sell candy in high school. Yep. So he'd go to the store. That's right. And he would buy the big pack of like the strawberry ropes.
I did the Airheads.
And he would sell 5 for $1. Yeah. And it's funny to see that, and I tell that all the time. Like, it's funny to see you go from that. Yeah. Selling candy out of your backpack to now you own two shops.
Dope. Yeah.
I know. So how do you feel? And I know I get super excited when I see people rocking One Love. Yeah. This is my boy. Mm-hmm. Have you come across someone you're like, dude, that's mine?
Yeah. So
like, that's my case.
That has happened. That has happened once. And it's like I didn't approach them.
Oh, really?
I didn't like it. For me, I liked the fact that I got to witness it.
Yeah, isn't that cool? God, from a distance. Such a cool feeling.
No, it's validating.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's a feeling that a lot of people don't get to experience. No. I'll never get to experience that feeling. Yeah. That just seems like such a cool feeling.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you experience it when people living in houses that you found.
No, but it's like that's an idea you created.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
like that's something you from here to here to there to that person.
Oh yeah. I get that feeling every time a sale comes in.
Oh,
like, I mean, when I get the sheet, obviously I don't get to see it, but when I get the sheet, it's like I know, I'm like, wow. Like,
exactly.
People are, like, people validate you with their money. Mm-hmm. And that's, I used to be okay with, like, oh, that product's dope.
Yeah.
But once you feel I just bought oh, that product's dope. It doesn't feel as great. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that validation, it kind of emboldens you to keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you guys are doing like accessories right now. So like, do you have anything new that you guys are gonna come out with that's like been in your mind that you just there's something you want to put out and you haven't put it out yet?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to put out. There's a lot of stuff I want to put out. One of the things that we started in the accessories game. And we're still in it. We're still a young company in the accessories game, and when you look at it as a whole. But lately, I've just been really impressed with moving into like everyday carry type products. So we just launched the keychain, which is like the thing that I love about the keychain, and this I'll just share a mistake that we made. I was so like wrapped in the fact that, man, we got this thing done. Like, we actually made it. In the marketing side of things, our messaging has just not been super clear on what the keychain actually does and what, the function that it serves. And so now we're trying to adjust that messaging. But when we did that keychain that actually has a screen cleaner on the back of it, so now you're taking your selfies. So many people walking around with like fuzzy selfies. So now you got the screen cleaner on the back, you clean your camera off, and now you've got these really cool selfie shots. So I was really proud of that one. And like I said, we're adjusting the messaging. But our our MacBook pouch, the MacBook sleeve, like the prototype is sitting on my desk right now. I just got it from the factory, and I'm pretty excited about that. You're just
stoked?
Yeah, I'm ready for that one to drop. Then we just got a lot of other stuff. Like, I'm working on this is like literally I made the phone call yesterday to be like, I love your art. Like, here's the idea.
Let's do some stuff.
Yeah. And so I've got some art that we're working on coming out with. Carrington is a brand about character, and men being of character. And so we're going to do like a little cool artistic display of some stuff with it. So we'll be selling some art soon and getting into a bunch of different spaces. And so, I'm glad I'm trying to expand what Carrington means as far as when we say we accessorize.
Yeah.
So we can accessorize, your devices, but we can accessorize you. We can accessorize your home. We can accessorize your office. So.
And why did you guys? Obviously you've been preaching a few times about men. What was the reason on staying with men and not diving into the women's side of things?
So the first reason was just simple. I'm a man and I know
what you like.
I know what I like. And then I started seeing like this, women and their movement to liberating themselves from where they sit in society and what have you. And what hit me is, men, like, granted, masculinity gets this really bad angle. Every time you hear masculinity, it's almost like, oh, it's toxic masculinity, or oh, this is like, And I was just like, well, who's talking about the masculinity where the dude is just like taking care of his family, or he's going to work, making money, he's a good citizen, doing what he needs to do. So I didn't think there was enough positivity around masculinity, which to me is the true. It's the true version of it. And so for me, that's when we started to really dive in and just say, hey, we could be in a space where we can, as a brand, speak to positive, and I call it modern masculinity, and what that looks like, what it means, help redefine it. And so that's what helped me kind of double down on, on the masculinity.
Well, that too. And I feel like men in general is like, that aspect of them is like total, like any store you walk into, it's like, this is like the man section.
Right.
And then the rest of it is this big. and you're like, dude, can I get something up in here?
Just one.
Can I get a shirt? One time.
I went to I was in London last year. I was in London last year, and we were talking to a company out there, a retailer out there to sell our stuff, Liberty. So if they're watching this, like, you guys got to get our stuff.
Well, we're gonna cut it and then send it to them.
Right.
So
exactly.
watch it. We're gonna chop this one spot and send it.
I love it. So we walk in, and one thing I like to do is go in as a customer, and just say, hey, where can I find this, or where can I find that? And they'll usually say, oh, we don't have that out on the floor, or we don't have such and such. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm a designer on a brand called Carrington. Where's your buyer? I'd like to talk to him about that particular product. We get in there, man, and I'm looking at the stuff for guys, and they've got, London is like one of the dopest places to shop. Go. Oh, it's amazing.
So come with a few racks.
Yeah, didn't have an iPad case.
No?
iPad sleeve in the men's section.
Well, the only ones they have are the stupid zipper ones you get at Apple.
Not at all. I don't want to bang Apple, but it's
trash.
I get it.
I don't think Tim Cook's watching this. So we're good to go. And they're way overpriced. But continue. Sorry.
You digress. But yeah, they didn't have one. So it's like I'm really looking at these spaces and saying to myself, like, I'm looking at the spaces and just saying to myself, like, man, like, when do men get that bouquet of products that they can come in? And I know our shopping patterns are not the same as women, but women are out there shopping for us too. So if it's not there, we're not going to find it, nor are women going to find it.
And I think too, I think what people need to realize, a lot of it's I'm going to buy this for my man.
Oh, for sure,
dude.
Most of our customers are women.
Women, right?
For sure.
Men, I think women shop. Men go in for a mission.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I go to the mall, I'm going to one store.
That's it.
Buying one thing.
One thing, and I'm out.
Right. I'm not dabbling.
That's right.
I'm not. I'll try them on at the house.
That's right.
I'll buy 2 sets. If I'm not sure what size they're, I'll try them on at the house. And my girl will return them.
That's right. That's right.
And then somehow I never get that money back. Somehow she comes back with the clothes. How does that make any sense?
I think it's the way things work. It's the way
I have
no
idea.
Right.
I'm like, where's that? Where's the 4750? She's like,
what do you
right
mean?
Here. It's in. I bought myself something.
That's right.
They said store credit only. I knew you wouldn't want anything. I'm like, you have the receipt. She's like, nope, sorry. That's the life I live over here.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
So have you ever tried to obviously you're a Riverside guy. Have you tried to is there any shops in Riverside? I know you said LA, but there's not really any. If I'm trying to think, there's no really boutique men's stores in Riverside.
Not for real. We even toyed with the idea, which is definitely not something we even had an idea to get into, but of a brick and mortar. What would it look like? How would we make it work? And some of those things for that reason. Yeah. Because you answer that question is like, where do you go in downtown Riverside to just go shop as a man? Nowhere.
You can't even really get a suit. I mean, honestly, you're going to
oh yeah,
you're going to Nordstrom's.
Yeah, for sure.
Nordstrom's, or you're going to there's that one suit exchange in the mall, or you're going cheap and going Express. Yeah. But other than that, there's not any custom suit shop.
Yeah, I mean, Cruz tailors downtown. He's a guy who tailors all my stuff. He's downtown. He's pretty.
But if you just want to go buy something off the rack, no, there's nothing.
Not at all. And so that's something we've toyed around with. Our gentleman's brunch. I bring men together in Riverside, and kind of getting a feel through that process to see hey, do men love coming down here to hang out and stuff like that, and then we'll look at where that lands in the future. But right now we just don't.
Our problem, it just eats up so much overhead. Dude,
that's my least favorite word is
overhead. Yeah. People, and that's the so fun thing too. When people don't understand business, they don't understand overhead.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're a 9-to-5er, you don't pay overhead. You have no idea what it is. So when people look at me, they go, "Oh, well, yeah, you just you make I'm like, yeah, that money on that deal, half of it went to rent.
That's right.
The other half, a third of that went to my assistant, and then I made a few pennies.
Right. See that it's the $5 rule. How much of that $5 bill can you keep? Right.
Exactly.
And so for a lot of people, when you talk about overhead like rent. You're not just paying rent. So you say your rent's $3,000. You're not just paying $3,000 on rent, you know, you still got utilities you got to pay. I'm sure you're going to want to pump some music in there or something. So you're going to be paying for some kind of service to run that. You got your, you know, HVAC. You got all this other stuff.
And you got to buy stuff.
And you got to buy stuff.
That's why I don't like big houses, right? I'm like, dude, I have 5,000 square foot house. I'd have to buy 5,000 square feet of stuff.
To go in there.
That I'm never going to use.
No, and I think you're right. You know, as people and you bump into it, you know, as an entrepreneur, even if you didn't go to school to get an MBA or what have you, you bump into the idea and you learn really quickly when you get that $5 sale and 50 cents at the end of the day is all you keep, and you really don't even get to keep that because you don't throw it into more inventory. But at the end of the day, you really learn that as you kind of, you know, grind through it all to figure out what your good mix is going to be.
And that's what I tell everyone. It's not a sprint. Like, I mean, I hate getting clear. I mean, I'm a big Gary Vee fan, but I hate saying his sayings because then some people are like, you just repeat Gary. But it's true. Like, dude, it's a marathon. It's like you're going 12 rounds. For sure. And you're going to get punched in the face.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
I don't know a boxer who's won a fight without getting hit in the face.
Exactly.
I mean, and I'm talking about the fastest people you know.
Mike Tyson lost.
Yeah. And he sure did.
Mike Tyson lost.
He's lost.
And that's Mike Tyson saying. He always used to say, everyone had a plan until you get punched in the face.
Until you get punched in the face.
The moment you get in the ring, you get punched in the face. You're like, okay. Yeah. And that's the same thing with it. Like, you know, I think there's just the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. But I think I would be bored if I didn't do this.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I always tell, you know, I always complain sometimes, and I've been working on kind of, you know, your mindfulness and things like that.
Me
to
too.
kind of like, you know, purge yourselves of some of that negativity, and complaining is one of those things I just got to get out of my life. But I always talk about the fact that I've got so much that I'm doing. Like, I mean, between, you know, the hospital, between C3 nonprofit, between Carrington the brand, and then we just launched the Mr. Carrington thing. It's like you don't have a minute. But you know, there's always little things you can do to kind of manage your time better and kind of get those things pulled together, so that you can live a little life.
Yeah, something I changed was 2 phones.
Oh.
2-phone game. The 2-phone game was a huge thing for me. Clients have one number, my other ones.
Nice.
Literally, I go out to dinner with people.
Yeah.
Client phone stays away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I get back to you in an hour.
Oh, that's
right?
nice.
And then when I go to bed, client phone stays out of the bedroom. Client phone is not allowed in the bedroom.
I like that.
Because I know myself is like I'll answer, I'll text back.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
you're designed to do that.
You're designed.
Like, for
our
sure.
job is sadly. It's funny about entrepreneurship. You're trying to here just to solve people's problems. So you're actually someone who wants to help people.
For sure.
And so then you're like, I need to I need to help you. And there's always a problem, and there's always something that's going on. So the 2-phone game was a really big. Yeah. Really big thing for me.
That's one of the things I just dropped. Well, that was one of the first posts that I put up on MrCarrington.com was about routines. And one of the things I learned for me is these bookend routines. Like in the morning when I wake up between, you know, this time and this time, you know, I really try to pour in as much as I can in me. And then in the evening before I go to bed, I try to pour into myself again, you know. And so in the morning, I'm trying to like energize myself for my day. In the evening, I'm trying to detox from all the stuff that happens, you know, in between. And that cycle is what kind of helps me be refreshed to handle, you know, everything for the day. But you're right. I love the idea of the 2-phone game.
And the best thing about 2 phones is like I can then forward my calls if I need to my assistant, right? Yeah. Which I should do a better job of doing that, but I don't ever do that.
No, you got to delegate, man.
No, for sure, but I never I hate forwarding my calls because whatever, it is what it is. But those are some of the things I've learned, and then now is too is like my assistant is we do all group texts, and I will not let my assistant text back before 9 a.m. So if we get text at 7, you'll get an answer at 9.
That's good.
And I tried to tell her that because it sets a precedent. Like we also have off time too.
And people respect it. I think honestly, people respect your consistency. Like if someone knows, hey,
at 9 a.m.
At 9 a.m. I'm gonna get them. You know, now if you're inconsistent, so like at 9 a.m. you're not calling people back and the rest of that kind of stuff. Well, it's a terrible. You're not doing a good job, but people will respect the fact that you've guarded and set these hours as like, no, I'm going to go hard for you, during these hours.
9 to 7.
And you can trust that. They'll respect, leaving that time to help you be able to do that.
Do you think you'll ever go full time, leave the hospital or leave the corporate life and just go all in the brand?
I do think I will. I think I will eventually. What I'm starting at the hospital, I've kind of like really invested in it. Like my heart's in it.
You gotta finish
I gotta finish that out.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like wanting to see that succeed, wanting to build that up. I think after that has hit where my little targets, then I'll make that jump. So I do see myself kind of jumping into it eventually. And I'm you get those nerves. You get the nerves, but if you're going to grow a company to a certain level, you got to be all in.
You have to be all in.
You have to be. So
it's like why I come here every day.
Yeah.
So really, a lot of people are like, "Why do you have an office, man?" I'm like, I live 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
I'm here every day. I'm here every day.
That's
no
right.
matter what happens, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like things are going great. I'll even come here just to like play music and hang out.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden while I'm in here, an idea hits me. I'm like, I'm gonna go shoot that, or I'm gonna go do that. Just being in that mindset.
And in the space. I love the idea, of just coming in, but being in the space. I've just been all about these spaces lately. So it's like if I'm eating, I'm gonna eat in a particular space where I eat all the time. If I'm gonna sleep in my bedroom, I'm gonna do that. I don't work in my bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, so my spaces are very carved out. My home office, if I'm working, I'm going to work in there. And I think those spaces really activate your mind as well.
You focus.
They really do help you focus, man, to dive in. And you just kind of keep yourself calculated like that.
I think that's the one big thing about entrepreneurship that you have to be good at. You have to go, like, when I'm in something, knock that out.
Yeah.
And then shift really quick and go, okay, I need to handle that problem. I'm the most unorganized person ever. Putting stuff on a schedule is like, I'm trying so hard to put stuff on the schedule. But like you have to go. I didn't for the longest time before this all happened. I didn't even have a computer at home.
Oh wow!
I would not work at home.
Wow, that's good.
I would go home. If I had to work, I would come back here and work.
That's good.
I never had a computer at the house.
No, honestly, that is real good, man. To be
because
able to
when I walked into my space,
home space, just like
it was
clear
over
for you.
And then I have an alarm goes off 9 p.m. Put your phone down. 9 p.m. I put my phone down.
Yeah, and you got to build those. You got to build those parameters for yourself.
You have to figure out what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think too, after you get to that, because I've gone through the 24-hour grind mode for years, so now it's like, okay, I can to make it the long haul. I've had to taper.
Yeah.
So
I you hear about burnout. Like, I feel like I hit that mark at the beginning of this year. You know what I mean? Like, I just had like...
With everything going on?
Yeah. I mean, the events that we're throwing for different things, the products that we're trying to, that we're coming out with, and, you're needed to kind of engage and work through all of those things, man. And I just hit like this huge health,
it beats you
thing.
Up.
And it gave me a minute to just kind of sit back and say, hey, now I got to figure out what's important, what I'm going to work towards, what I'm going to pull through. And sometimes I got to pull somebody in to be like, hey, you're going to have to run this, and I'll, provide support in the vision for what I do. And I always tell people, CEOs, you really only have 3 things to do. Like, there should only be 3 things on a CEO's
list. And you got to be amazing at those.
And you got to be amazing. First thing is casting vision. You got to know where the company's going, where it's where it's going to lead to. What are we all working towards? And you got to be a master at communicating that.
Yeah.
Then you got to be able to find people, like finding the team and building the team up.
Such a team
that's going to help you build that. Like, you've got to be great at identifying those skill sets that are needed and better than you. Then the last thing is you got to find the money. It's on you to kind of like find the money to kind of make it all happen, whether you're going to go, hit up a VC to kind of get the funding you need to do that. And as a CEO, thinking in my mind, it's like, those are my 3 functions. If it's something outside of that, I got to get somebody else to do it. So if it's social media, or if it's, marketing, or if it's, HR, some foreign functions of HR, if it's functions of finance, if all those things, somebody else who's way smarter, smarter than me to do that. It's better at. I got to give that to them, because those 3 functions are really the foundation that
and it's going to keep the company alive
for sure.
Do you ever feel like, I mean, you brought it up right now, social media, and that's kind of like my thing. It's like, I will say your stuff's legit.
Oh, thanks, man. Clean, I appreciate that, man.
Super clean.
I appreciate it.
Super branded, right? Like, when you go on there, you know exactly what it is.
Nice.
It's super good looking. It's a very clean and well put together other product.
Right.
But so, I said you're saying you're trying to find someone. Like, is that something you've been taking on this whole time, or is it something that's delegated around?
No, so honestly, I delegated to friends that I know are good at it.
Yeah.
Right now, until I can get someone like in the role to actually do the.
It's a full-time job.
So I've got folks who are just good at what they do, and so it is a full-time job.
Full-time job.
You meet with some people who are like really good at it, and before you decide to bring them on board, but right now it's just like, hey, you're really great at this. Why don't you roll with me to take care of this? Or you just pick up people freelance in the meantime. But one of the things I learned now is you don't have to hire everybody.
No.
You know what I mean? Yeah. There are some things that you can do where it's like, hey, I need you for an hour. I need you for 3 hours.
And if it's more expensive.
And you're paying for that time. It is a little more expensive for sure.
But that's something I've learned in everything. People like that.
Yeah.
I just learned this thing. I used to always overbuy on print. I would buy way too many flyers, and then it would take us forever to get rid of them. The worst. And I'm like, I'm literally diving flyers out right now because of that. So because you just learn, because you're like, oh, well, save me money, and then you're like, I should have just spent a little bit more and have less.
I go the opposite direction. Yeah. Like for me, it's like free. I love free.
Yeah,
like free is my.
You got to live in the free zone.
Right. So for me, I go like, okay, so we have a digital strategy. So everything we're doing is all digital. Can I buy the ad on Facebook? Yeah. Can I buy, the ad on Instagram? Can I, push this out on certain boats? Can I send this product to, and we have our 5 influencers that you see post our stuff on their pages. So we send the products out to them and have them push it. And that's kind of like our, digital marketing. We may do some banners and stuff like that. But then we say, like, if we need an event or we're pulling, really want to go hard on a sale or something like that, then I kind of like cheat.
Yeah.
Instead of, it's hard because, the more you order, the better.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you're like, but I could get another 500. And they're like, Adam, we don't need an extra 5, but it's only $25 more. Who are you giving it to? I'm losing money. I'm losing.
Yeah, then you look in the corner
and then it sits in there. It has 2015 on it.
Right.
Adam, it's 5 years ago. And I'm like, mother, I still have flyers from when I first started. And
everybody. I know it's so crazy.
And I'm finally almost out of them. And I'm like, never again. So, but man,
as much as you can, no times and dates.
Yeah. They're like, half those people don't work for you anymore. No one knows.
Right.
It's no dates anymore. So, man, it's a pleasure, man. We've already had this bit for an hour.
So, oh my goodness.
I know, dude. So why don't you tell people, how they can see your stuff? How can they, reach out, help, buy, whatever it is? Why don't you tell people how's the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh, for sure. So Carrington, the brand, you go to carringtoncase.com. You can check out our products there. All cool professional accessories for your iPhone, iPads, and things like that. Then we have C3. The C3 initiative, which is basically we're teaching kids in the Riverside area how to program and how to code, and that's at thec3initiative.org. And then we just dropped what I'm really excited about is MrCarrington.com, which is pretty much just the brand of me, and I get to kind of share the things that I've been learning through entrepreneurship, through my career. And the way we break it down is character, career, and community.
Awesome,
and so
dude.
The things that we're working on there. And then at the hospital, just luh.ntc.org,
Awesome.
So what we're doing there.
Dude, this is a pleasure, man. It's always fun to talk to people that are doing, I feel like, might be different games, but at the same time.
And that's the thing. It's entrepreneurship.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And I feel like you're part of a gang.
Yeah,
right. You respect. Like, I see you, bro. I see you working because you just know, especially when you see something that has the passion and the out, and you just know how many hours, like to go into one thing.
For sure,
it's unbelievable. So
absolutely,
man, I appreciate the time, dude.
Same to you, dude.
Till next time, guys. Peace.